Yeah, I'd like to share how you can manage a hackathon using Coda. So traditionally, a hackathon starts with a big open question. And this global service design challenge from this year, the question was, how might we design out plastic waste from everyday life as citizens and consumers? So when you're putting together your doc, usually it's good to throw that big question on the first section with some images of the challenges. And plastic is obviously a very big one. The next section is the event schedule, and this is usually at the kickoff of the hackathon. You would share this or present it and run the different participants through what the next few days will look like. What's really fun about this event schedule is I can update this event schedule here, and it'll actually show up in day 1, 2, and 3, just as its own schedule for the day. So for example, this here is a filtered view connecting back to the event schedule on the first day. If happy hour then turns into late night burritos, you would see it show up here in late night burritos on the main event schedule. Next, usually it's good, especially for first-time participants in a hackathon, to go through how hackathons normally look like. Since this is more of a design challenge hackathon, we outline here what the design process looks like. Maybe I want to make this image a little bit bigger as I present it to all the participants. Now we go into the different folders here on the left, which outline the different days. We already looked at the schedule for day 1, very important to get late night burritos. Next is a place where we can form the team and take notes on what the strengths are, what our team name is, just start gathering notes on who's on the team and how we want to work together. And you can use this membership table to reference in other parts of the doc. The first real activity of the day would be Empathized. So this is where you'll start taking notes and people will start brainstorming who the users are with the plastic challenge. And this is a really big challenge. There's a whole bunch of users, the people who are using it, the people who are affected by it, as well as nature and animals, because it's pretty systemic. So this is a great way to take notes, or if you're using things like sticky notes or whiteboards, to throw in some of those images through your initial empathizing with the challenge. Now that ends the day 1, day 2. Maybe there's some breakfast, maybe there's some inspiration in the beginning of the hackathon, and then we'll go into ideating, prototyping, defining what the challenges are. So that's usually what we see on day 2, or at least the second phase of a hackathon. So here in the define section, we're trying to really figure out what that problem is. So often we see teams throwing in tables, what the problem is. Here we have a nifty button where we can start taking ideas. Maybe the problem is we can only get our food in plastic these days. And then as we're going through and ordering what the biggest problems are, or what problem we want to focus on, we can start having the different team members saying, hey, I like this, or I don't like this. This is connected to the forming a team on day 1. So if John and Ellie were the member 1 and member 2, you would see that come through here on this table. And then we'll probably want to pick the biggest problem of the day. If you invite the entire team to the doc, it's actually nice. You can pull in their pictures on who gets invited to the doc. And then we can upvote and downvote. Similar design, just depends if we can invite everyone to this doc or not. Next, we'll start thinking about the big solutions and how we're going to solve the plastic problem in this case, but hackathons, there's a lot of problems and a lot of solutions that you might be ideating. So here, just using cardboard for everything, no plastic, and the different team members can upvote and downvote, and you can get a good sense on what you want your big solution to be. Now that we've gone through the defining and the ideating, maybe there's some sort of solution for cardboard, or maybe the solution is an app or a service where you can look at the different grocery stores who offer less plastic options. So here in the prototyping area, usually we're giving building blocks for building a prototype, so you don't have to start building from scratch in Coda. So there's a few ways to access these prototypes. One is, if you click a new section, you'll see a lot of different examples of where to start. The next would be looking into this prototype building blocks. These are some common schemas of how people have built apps in the past. In this case, instead of maybe searching by cats, you search for grocery stores. And instead of the breed or the age, it's how much plastic do they use? Or are there options for buying vegetables and fruit that are already wrapped in plastic? The activity log. This is an example of creating an exercise schedule, but maybe in the plastics case, we reframe this to be a prototype for tracking how much plastic you used over the week. The timer section, probably not related too much to plastic, but for things that really matter with time, like good and healthy eating or exercising, the timer has been helpful where you can start a timer, end a timer, add timers. And then lastly, integrations, inspirations using the different Coda packs. So Coda can connect to a bunch of different applications out there. And this is an example of some of those where we're pulling in images from Wikipedia or Instagram, we're connecting to local weather, integrating with Google Maps, and then eventually connecting Gmail to a button so that you can email people. Maybe you want to show off how much plastic you're using or not using, so you can integrate with things like text message, email, or instant message. So now we're done with the prototyping phase, and normally this is the biggest part of the hackathon. You might move into a test phase where the mentors are giving feedback on the prototype, you're taking notes on how things are going. Maybe you want to interview a few users and you put information about the users that you're interviewing in here. So now that we're done with day 1 and day 2, we're moving into day 3, which usually is a whole bunch of finalizing your presentation, making it really clear what you're trying to solve in the entire design process, and then pitching to the judges. So maybe you want to give the participants a way to make sure that they're going to have a killer presentation. This is just a quick checklist for going through what we normally see in successful presentations so that they're awesome and shiny. And then you might want to use Coda as a presentation tool and put your different slides as different sections. So here I might drop into a presentation and I might click through the market size and then eventually a app demo of the prototype. So that's normally the structure that we see for a hackathon, going all the way from the high-level challenge to ideating, finding solutions, and then building the solution, whether it's more of a service solution or a physical solution that you would then take the notes and upload the design files into a Coda doc, or you're actually prototyping a solution within the Coda doc. So we're really excited to use Coda for hackathons, for the design process, for just coming up with really great solutions. And if you have feedback, please let us know. Thank you.